Whiteout magic is a very powerful and interesting type of magic that was introduced in Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, with it being used for a variety of different manners, but all of it focusing primarily on magic power itself. The origins of which and why it has been created, as well as how it's been utilized in 100 Years Quest, gives us a variety of things to really look into for Whiteout magic. And it's being brought into the forefront right now in the 100 Years Quest anime at the time of recording this video as the Oleron arc has started. It gives us a real first look at what Whiteout magic can in fact do. So, I'll be going over what Whiteout magic is and how it's used and who uses it. Before we jump right into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want to support the channel more directly, go and become a patron on my Patreon. For just $2 a month, you get access to my patron-only Discord server, early access to videos up to a week early that aren't chapter review videos, and other details where you can recommend me stuff to review, and I'm currently setting up stuff for potential live readings or watch parties on a bi-weekly basis once I get things figured out for that. You also get your name at the end of videos starting in September, and you can potentially get a shout out at the end of the video. I'm planning to make the Patreon and the Discord server as fun and as engaging as possible to make it worth your while. And also, if you want, go and use my referral link down below for Advanced GG and use my code GreekWeeb10 to get up to 15% off at checkout for some really nice supplements, shakers, and thermoses from Advanced GG. Really great flavors for focus, energy, and just straight up hydration. You will really enjoy it. Now with that out of the way, on with the video. So, Whiteout magic is very interesting, and it's used for a few things. But it's primarily a caster type of magic, and it is classified under white magic, similar to what Sting, the White Dragon Slayer, ends up using. It is a type of white magic, closer to holy magic in the Fairy Tail verse. And this type of white magic gives the user the ability to control the volatility of an individual's magic in order to do a variety of things. By whiting out somebody's magic, it can allow the user to essentially enslave and control the person at the magic that they have been whiting out in order to follow their commands, nullify someone's magic, or use the magic of its targets, or either steal or overtake and fuse with the body of the target that it ended up being used upon. So the caster can not only just enslave somebody by whiting out their magic, they can end up nullifying somebody's magic, they can end up potentially using that person's magic that they whited out, or they can full on just steal or take over and fuse with the body of their target. This is primarily how we are fully introduced to two characters, Toka and Ferris. In 100 Years Quest, at the very beginning, we're introduced to this young lady who is Toka. However, the truth of the matter is, the body belongs to someone from Elentir, another reality in the Fairy Tail world, Ferris, who uses whiteout magic, and essentially took over the body of an Exceed named Toka. And so the two of them kind of share the same body in this instance, utilizing one of the many aspects of whiteout magic that I just told you about. Now, Ferris isn't the only person in the series that can use whiteout magic. As I stated, she's from another world called Elentir. And there are people called the Whiteout Shrine Maidens that have the capability of using whiteout. This style of magic is taught to them by the chief of the Whiteout Shrine, and we have multiple Shrine Maidens that have the capability of using whiteout magic, as well as villagers that can also potentially use it. We also have other users like Athena that we get introduced to later in the story, and Duke Barbaroa in the Gold Owl arc alongside Athena. So there are a fair couple and a number of people that can utilize whiteout magic. And this is, like I stated, a very versatile and dangerous type of magical power. This particular type of white magic allows the user to just restrict somebody's magical power, absorbing it, allowing them to just erase the target's magic to the point of having a state of zero usage, or potentially doing the opposite, making that person's magical power run out of control and even increase it to an absurd level whenever they so choose. That is what whiting out is. Targeting somebody, and it starts by absorbing someone's magic power just by pointing in their direction. We see this at the beginning of 100 Years Quest when Jalal encounters Toka, aka Ferris, after joining the Fairy Tail Guild and realizing that she is going under the alias of the White Mage. And in that instance, we see her attempting to use whiteout magic on Jalal. But obviously, if that person who is casting the spell is interrupted, the whiteout is obviously nullified, though some amount of that person's magic power would have been taken away or slowly erased, but it will recover over time. Alongside everything I've stated about whiting out a character, whenever somebody whites out someone's magical abilities and fully takes control over them, they can also get access to essentially full-on awareness of the magic that they themselves either erased or restricted. Like with Mercphobia. Ferris knew everything that was going on with Mercphobia over in Giltina, and while she was in Ishgal, back at the Fairy Tale Guild, she made Mercphobia's magic power go ballistic and out of control, despite it not being the full power of Mercphobia. So you can end up, once you white out somebody, you can remotely, from seemingly any distance away, just use whiteout on somebody they've already used this power on, making this a type of remote power if you've already used it on somebody, which is incredibly scary and versatile to use, being able to manipulate somebody's magical power and being able to go out of control and raise or deplete at random levels just from a distance after using it only once. As well as the fact that after you white out a character, the whiteout mage can end up utilizing the magic power of whoever they whited out as a power conduit to essentially restock their magical power whenever they need to. Like a mobile battery if they need it to be, which is how with the Fairy Tale Guild, Ferris essentially whited them out, didn't fully erase their magic, but took them under her control, and if she really wanted to, she could just utilize the power that they have already to make herself more powerful or to utilize stronger spells. So the more amount of people that the user ends up whiting out, the potential more magical power that they could essentially have in stock anywhere on the planet and make go out of control or power themselves up or fuel their own spells at any time they so choose. It is incredibly versatile and incredibly useful for the user. But another thing about whiteout magic is the fact that you can essentially make the people that you have enslaved and controlled with this magic to die on command. If the caster just utters the word die to a character that they have enslaved, they will instantly die. That is insanely broken. It's one thing to erase somebody's magic or just control the output of it from a distance whenever you so choose, or use them as a portable battery as a sense for the magic power. But having somebody you can control just by saying the word die to make them instantly keel over is insanely powerful. Literally the death touch, and that is just pure insanity. It's lucky that Ferris has not used this on anybody else. Makes sense for a character that she hasn't used this to full-on just massacre people, but my god, is this insanity. Another thing about whiteout magic is that this more so falls under the person that was whited out. When somebody who's been whited out makes full-blown eye contact with somebody, you can also have that person be under your control and influence. But it does have to be direct eye contact. So let's say, example, Urza is trying to be whited out by somebody else in the series that is under control by Ferris. Due to her artificial right eye, the effect would be halved but potentially be nullified by the fact that it's not full-on direct eye contact due to the side effect of her artificial eye. If you're wearing glasses or if there's something obscuring vision, you will not be brought under the control of the whited out individuals. It's kind of like being bit by a zombie, except instead of having agonizing pain through a bite or a scratch, you have direct eye contact with somebody and you'll become part of that entire horde. Still kind of scary to an extent. But whiteout magic, while it does have all these insane utilizations and insane powers, there are some side effects to this magic. One of which is primarily with the fusing of different bodies or overtaking somebody using whiteout magic, and that is changes in personality. We see this with Toka and Ferris. They share a body, but Toka a lot of times has full control over the body, with Ferris slowly taking over at random moments to have her own actions to do. We've seen this a number of times in the very first arc of 100 Years Quest, and we see this towards the Alderaan arc of 100 Years Quest, until they're inevitably separated. The next side effect is on the person being whited out, because if somebody has their whited out magic done to absolute zero, they can end up catching magic deficiency disease and essentially die, basically due to their magic being untamed with extreme non-use. We've seen this a few times with characters like Makarov having their magic power depleted to such a low degree that they get magic deficiency syndrome, Now, obviously, this can be healed over time due to the body naturally taking an ether nano, but with the fact that whiteout magic can just take away all of somebody's magic all at once to absolute zero, that could quite literally instantly kill somebody as a side effect, even if the user doesn't initially intend to. But if you're whiting out somebody's whole magic, and the fact that magic is also bodily and spiritual in the fairy tale world, it could instantly kill somebody. Like I stated earlier, with how just saying to a whited out person that they can die, this, to an extent, can be extension of that. Only difference is, instead of giving the command, you take away enough magic power to deplete it to absolute zero, they will die. That is another insane death touch ability, as a side effect of utilizing this ability. But another side effect of being whited out, essentially, mainly is closer to Dragon Slayers. Primarily, 5th generation Dragon Slayers, as we've seen thus far. As this is actually something that shows up in chapter 46 of the 100 Years Quest manga, to be specific. When Loxus is knocked out, Kyria tries to eat his magic power. But Scullion tells her not to, as once she devours the magic of somebody that is under the influence of whiteout in the whiteout mage, the person that consumes that magic will inherently be controlled and whited out by this magic. So, if you are whited out and somebody tries to absorb your magic power, or in this case with Kyria, a Dragon Slayer consuming a Dragon Slayer's abilities, they will be essentially whited out as well by proxy and join that entire legion of whited out individuals and fall under the influence and control of the caster of whiteout. It's a very specific situation, but either way, it's an interesting thing to have full-on confirmation of. I mean, just imagine if Kyria did somehow manage to eat Lox's powers, and maybe even kind of Loxus to an extent, I guess, which would be kind of gruesome if we actually imagine this. She would end up being part of Ferris's whole whited out brigade, and then everybody had to fight a powered up Kyria. So that's something to think about. Now, this is the last side effect that we know of whiteout magic, and this is towards the caster of whiteout, or perhaps the person that is fused with the caster of whiteout. Because as we've seen with Toka and Ferris, they can essentially use each other's magic. Now, normally it would be Ferris being capable of utilizing Toka's magic, but Toka, if she's in control, has the capability to utilize Ferris's whiteout magic as well. However, it's to a much lesser degree of control and power, so it might be weaker, but if the person whose personality and body is being overtaken by the whiteout user gains control at some point, they themselves can potentially use the abilities of said whiteout user, which is an insane side effect if you undergo the risk of fusing with somebody to utilize their abilities, and in terms with Ferris, kind of go undercover and essentially stay hidden to an extent from people that could potentially be looking for her, and utilize her goals in the shadows, as we've seen through the start of 100 Years Quest. All that is all the utilizations of whiteout for individual users, side effects, and its capabilities. Like I stated before, whiteout magic comes from another world, Elentier, and that was where it originated from and was created, with the usage primarily done by the whiteout shrine maidens and people of the White Village in Elentier. The main use is to essentially use a ritual to stabilize and essentially calm down the magical power of the world of Elentier. This world is overflowed with a magical power, but there's to an extent where it can potentially destroy the world, which is why the whiteout shrine maidens use whiteout to essentially white out as much magical power and erase it from Elentier as much as possible in order to keep the world going. Now, this was set into disarray when Selene came and overflew it with an insane amount of magical power, causing it to go out of control, which to an extent was too much for whiteout mages to do originally. And once Alita Face towards the end of the Elentier arc went out of control and was destroyed, all the whiteout mages and shrine maidens had to utilize all their power and mastery of whiteout to stabilize the entirety of the world's magic of Elentier, keeping the world from being overrun with an insane out of control amount of magic power and potentially destroying it. So the main reason for whiteout is to stabilize the magical power of Elentier from going out of control and potentially destroying it. But as I explained prior, it has other utilizations when used against other people, and obviously creatures like the dragons that we have previously stated. And it can even work on dragon gods that we have seen, with Mercphobia as a prime example. But that's essentially everything you need to know about whiteout magic. What did you guys think of this? Did you enjoy it? How do you feel about whiteout magic as a whole, its capabilities, side effects, and how it's been utilized in the story thus far? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And also comment down below what other types of magical power you'd like me to make a video on to go over and explain from the Fairy Tail series. As there is a very large list and there is a lot for me to get through, so let me know what you guys want to see done in the future. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.